All right,
Okay.
so I think it started recording. So if it asks you to accept, please accept. Well,
Mm-hmm.
hello everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity. We are very excited to have this presentation today with my daughter April about elementary ensemble teaching. And we'll begin with just introducing ourselves a little bit, and then talking about specifically ensemble-related questions and topics. So I am Natalya Shkoda. I am a recording artist and concert pianist. I have 4 solo CDs to my credit. I teach piano at Chico State. I'm a piano professor for the past 15 years. I started playing piano when I was 6. So that means I play piano for about 4 decades, and I teach piano for over 30 years. And interestingly enough, even though I started playing piano at 6, I did not play my first piano ensemble until I was in conservatory, first year of conservatory, officially, piano ensemble by Mozart, Sonata. So I was 19. So it didn't seem strange to me then, because I just followed my teacher's advices. But as I look back, I think it's quite an interesting fact that I played for 13 years already, and I played very advanced level pieces, but I did not really study piano ensemble until it was a required class in conservatory, and only studied there for 1 year. And you cannot take classes that is not required. That's how it's structured back there. So my next experience with ensemble pieces was when I came to United States and studied at Arizona State University. So I was 23 at that time, and I just kept taking ensemble classes for all the time I was doing my master's degree and my doctorate degree. And not only in piano, but also in harpsichord, because I really just liked studying all keyboard instruments. And I took, as many as 3 ensembles a semester at certain semesters, and that love for playing an ensemble, piano ensemble specifically, just kept going, through all my years. And now I have a younger partner, which really helps me to continue studying this elementary level repertoire that clearly I missed when I was little. So let's talk about it. Introduce yourself.
I'm Smirnoff. I'm 6 years old. I'm first grade at Shine Academy of Languages, Arts and Sciences. I started playing piano when I was 4, and my first ensemble that I played was when I was 4.
So clearly, as you can see, for my own daughter, approach was different. I started teaching her ensemble music right away, and even before she formally learned notation. Actually, I kept her away from reading music for some time. During first year, she knew the notes, and sometimes we would analyze pieces backwards. She would learn them first by rote, but then I would, go back and say, okay, what note was that? What note was that? So just to check, because it takes time to learn notation. At the same time, I really wanted her to focus on musicality in what she's doing and just really be connected with how she plays, and not to have that, reading note barrier, which can actually happen for younger children, because when you're 4 or 5, that's really young to learn notes, and music, it's really not about where middle C is. So it really helps to actually use ensembles to create a bigger sound, and also to promote musicality in students. So I want to begin with, I think, fundamental question about ensembles, and I want to hear from you, because I do have my thoughts, I have things written down, but I want to see what you think about it. So question is this: why do you think we need piano ensembles as teachers and as students? And what do piano ensembles teach our students, and what do they teach us? Because obviously it's always reflecting back on what you teach, right? So there should be some insights that probably all of you have, and I will share with you what I discovered for myself, but I want to hear from you first. So maybe 1 or 2 ideas from each of you if possible, and I'll check if I already wrote it down, and if I didn't, it would be a good addition to my list. So 2-part question, why do we need piano ensembles, and what do they teach us and our students? And hi, Naoko.
Hi.
Oh, what a party you have.
Yes, Naoko, party. Yes.
That's another one.
So I would say that piano ensembles, we need them because it teaches students to really listen carefully and hear musical cues that help them know if they're playing in the correct places. it helps develop their musicality of listening, and that is a really important skill for young musicians that many times they don't seem to be listening very carefully.
Yes.
So that's important for ensemble work.
Excellent. Alicia or Barbara?
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Just I see you that way, so I don't know if I should moderate it or not. Just go ahead.
It improves their rhythm sense. And also, I think it's a real motivation. They, especially for pianists, they experience working with others and the enjoyment of sharing music.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with what all has been said. The teamwork aspect of it, I think so often our young students, they just, it's a solo endeavor, and so to have one other person or more to play with, it teaches them, a lot of things, all of the things that have been mentioned. And looking back on my own experience, I, as a young student, I was exposed to that pretty early on. My sister plays the flute, and I would accompany her with her flute music. And then as a student at Chico State, I had a lot of ensemble experience playing with other students. I took the I forget the name of the course, but it was like an introduction to accompanying. And so every 2 weeks, we would be working with another instrumentalist and performing our piece in the class, and just getting the feedback from the teacher and the other students. And now, as I've been in my career for, I don't know, about 25 years now, I'm a choral accompanist, so I have that ensemble experience, and boy, it's it teaches you a lot of things, even going forward. So yeah, to have that ensemble experience with trying to share that with our young students is very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nauka, want to add something? Nauka was my student at Chico State. She finished 10 years ago, but she got bachelor's in music and also certificate in keyboard pedagogy. And as you can see, we keep in touch. She attends my
Yes. So nice to see you, Dr. Shkoda.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, I think the biggest part with ensemble is developing the sense of rhythm, but also like for well, especially for the younger beginners, I like to accompany them because it's in a sense, nice sounding metronome. They don't want to necessarily play with a metronome, but if I play, and if it's a simple like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, it's like they get the counting better. And also for siblings, like if they have, like I have a sister, older sister and a younger brother, and then the sister is a little bit advanced. I have the sister play the teacher's part. I have the brother play the main part, and they have good dynamics. They can teach each other at home, and I think it's just more fun, and it's a good skill to have in the future too. So I think I like to use ensembles all the time to teach.
Excellent, thank you. So I actually divided what we need and what ensembles teach us into 2 columns. One was skills and the other was fun. And you talked about actually first and second column as well. So I didn't tell you like my subdivision, but I do think that basically any activity that we do, musical activity, it should have a fun part in it. And of course, each of us understands fun, individually, but still. So from my skills column, what was mentioned, rhythm, but and listening skills and musicality, because that skills that you develop. But I also have things like coordination. I believe ensemble really develops coordination in general, because you only have specific time in which you have to react. And if you're late, you're late. So there is really nothing you can do about it. So you better not be late and better do all the things to make sure that ensemble sounds pretty. Also, it teaches balance, because not only a student has to balance right and left hand, and as we know in beginning students, especially left hand is incredibly loud. And also, even if it's not left hand, it's the first finger, so they just get in the way all the time. So it's the issue of balancing students' hands against ensemble partner's hands, whether it's a teacher or it's another student, but it's this balance issue that is constantly there. And I will talk about this because in ensembles that I created for my daughter, I was trying to find creative solutions, how to make her parts sound naturally easier in terms of balance than the traditional ensembles in which prima is always placed on the right side of the piano with high notes, and seconda is always placed in the lower register, which is loud by itself. And that creates a big disbalance, in my opinion, especially for younger students with those tiny fingers placed on high notes that by itself sound very, very quiet, right? And we have to, somehow teach those students to play louder in the register that does not play loud, So I was really seriously considering how balance can be improved by maybe finding a creative way to organize hand position in ensembles. I also have, it kind of goes with rhythm, but stable tempo, because many times as a skill that is learned in ensembles, because many times when students play, we have this, oh, you rush, please don't rush, don't slow down. So we have all these tempo issues, all different ways. But just to say that please don't rush or please don't slow down, it doesn't really do anything. And as one of you mentioned, playing with a metronome can be not interesting for a student. Actually for April, it's very interesting. She likes all kinds of machines that tell you, what she should or shouldn't do. But I guess it just comes with mind, and also when you observe somebody doing it, because she observes me doing it. So that's different. But for general, I think, younger student, to make him play with the metronome probably going to be hard. At the same time, giving ensemble piece can be a really great teaching tool to improve not just rhythm, but also stability of tempo, whatever that tempo is. Because again, you are given certain time, you cannot be late. And then it's your responsibility to arrive on time, so that can help. I also have things like matching or contrasting articulation, because when you have legato in both parts, or when you have staccato in both parts, prima and seconda, they should match, ideally, right? So, and many times what happens, like if student plays with an older student or with a teacher, those articulations are very, very different. Okay, so legato is not connected enough, staccatos are not short enough. So ensembles really, really teach you, to do things together at the same level, and adjustments can be made on both sides. I think, a teacher can play a little bit longer, staccato notes, a student can play a little bit shorter. So it's individual approach. But what I'm saying is that you pay more attention to these things in ensemble music than in solo. And it's just my personal experience. And I taught ensembles in my group piano classes for over 2 decades. So I'm talking about several thousand students. And when you teach that many ensembles with that many students, you kind of see the same thing over and over and over. And even though my students are 18, 19, 20, but they are beginners in a sense that they just start learning piano when they come to me at Chico State and start their first semester. So most of them never played piano, or even if they played piano, it was without any guidance. So it's really, we're starting with zero. And they end up second semester with ensemble piece. And I can see same things repeated again and again. So these are skills. From fun part, socialization was mentioned, because yes, it is a process of communicating with people around you. So I have it on my list as well. And enjoyment, right? Because I think any project should be enjoyable at the end. So that's a good one. Also, I would mention that ensembles, for me, especially when April was born, they opened up a path to creativity. So I was looking at things that exist, but I also was basically creating or recreating certain things and doing my own arrangements. And again, it depends on how much time you have and what your purpose is as a teacher. And if you want to do it for your students, hi, Bob, or if you want to do it for your family members, so it really depends. But it can be a great way to just start thinking creatively and creating your own ensembles. And They can be just based on the needs of, your particular student or your needs even. And one other thing here is that in beginning ensembles, many of them are structured in such a way that overall sound of ensemble is not too big. And accompaniment part is kind of shy and little, so you don't overpower your student, which sits on the right side with those little fingers. So I was doing different things, actually. I wanted to see if a bigger sound actually would be, overall bigger sound would be more attractive. So I would say, if you want to create your own ensemble, just to experiment for any of your students or maybe for your family member, for your daughter, son, whoever, see if you can create a bigger sound with accompaniment, okay? And in some instances, I think students will actually enjoy feeling that overall sound is big, and they will enjoy it more than feeling that everybody's so careful and trying not to overpower them, so they themselves play even quiet. So that can actually be, a challenging moment, but very good one. So resources. I don't know how well you are familiar with CAPMOT program. It's a part of MTNA. It's California Association of Professional Music Teachers. I think some of you are members of that. So they have several events for students, and in fall they have something they previously called piano auditions, and now it's called Piano Festival. And for that program, for that specific program for students, they require 3 pieces, and one of which should be ensemble piece. And April participated in that event for a couple of times now, and they have extensive list, why I mentioned this program, they have extensive list of ensemble literature for beginners. So if you're just interested, go to CAPMOT website and look at that piano festival event. It gives you many, many, many books. I can't remember all of them, but it gives you books for every level from 1 to 10. 10 is the highest for them. They just have their own system. But from what we used and from what I liked, there are books by Lancaster and Kowalczyk, husband and wife. Team classical piano duets. There are 2 books, books 1 and 2, 17 and 18 duets respectively. And they also have a little bit harder series, duet classics. These are for intermediate level, also 2 books. So for the first book I showed, it's on the 5-finger positions for students. And for the second book, it goes beyond that. So you have to work with, scale-wise passages and contrasting articulation in each hand, but it's a very nice progressive order. So they did not compose them. They compiled duets by different authors from, there is nothing by Baroque, I think, no, it's classical, romantic, it's not classical and romantic. There is really not 20th century. So for about like 150 years, 200 years, but it's a good starting point, I think. Also for Christmas, if anybody likes Christmas, there are many books by Robert Vandal, celebrated Christmas duets. I just picked this one because there was a specific song I wanted to learn with April, but there are like 6 or 7 of them, and they're all different colors. Really nice series. It says for intermediate student, but as we know, intermediate, it's a very flexible term. So for some students, it can be like after 5 years of studying, and for some can be after 2. So don't look at it intermediate like it's not possible for someone who is 8. It can be. It just really depends. Okay, so I like this series. And my personal favorite, and I think Mars and Alicia and Bob was there when I presented, it's Elias Davidson, and the set is called The Red Carousel. And it's, I don't know, Nauka told me a couple of months ago that it wasn't available in the US. I was able to order it in the US. It's not printed in the US, it's printed in England. But I really recommend this book because it's 20th century. So he just died in 22. He was born in 1941, so he lived 81 years. He was born in Palestine, but he lived in Europe most of his life. He had Icelandic citizenship, but he died in Germany, I think. So that's the composer, Davidson. And you will be hearing a few works today in our presentation. But also, if you remember attending my other presentation like 4 years ago with one of my students at Chico State, we played like 7 or 8 pieces from this book. So I keep teaching this. I really enjoy it for different reasons. It's a contemporary language, but it's still tonal. So everything happily ends in the key. It's very convenient because the range is very small for each hand. It's really just 2 octaves, so you don't jump all around. It's all like under your fingers. It's very creative and very visual. You will hear it from pieces you play. And he's not afraid to use keys with 6 sharps sometimes. So it kind of teaches students to use all kind of things that are considered difficult for beginners, like black notes, avoid black notes. I never avoided black notes. I think they're great. But, you know, just to reinforce a point, you need to have something that promotes that as well. So I really enjoy that book. So these are the books, but my suggestion is also to combine resources, because in my opinion, basically any piano book with solo pieces can be transformed into ensemble if you want to do that. So any just popular song that student likes, if he learns or she learns it with 2 hands, can be modified into ensemble by adding accompaniment, teacher's accompaniment. And this way you can enhance the sound and make students feel supported, more supported, and just demonstrate how much sound the piano has. Because, you know, in early years of teaching piano, students really use, you know, what, 3 octaves, 4 octaves maybe. So that's not really all of it. And the most rich sounds in the bass, they are never used. So that would be a good thing to do. So what I was doing specifically, we have, it's just example, you know, I'm not saying like get this book, but just an example. So there is a book of what they call easy piano songs. And I got this book because I liked the picture. You know, I think piano looks hilarious. So I just got it because of the cover page, but it has basically everything that children need to know anyway. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, skip to my loo, row, row your boat, the Muffin Man, Jingle Bells, Kumbaya, London Bridge, Mary Had a Little Lamb. So everything that they should know anyway, you know, and if they don't study it with us, they study it at school, you know, should study it at school, right? So they should be able to know the tune, and out of any of these, ensemble easily can be created. I will be showing today ensemble we created using Amazing Grace. So that's a part. So melody in the right hand, and left hand has a kind of extended octave accompaniment, root fifths, root, an octave apart, and it just has tonic, subdominant, and dominant, just 3 harmonies, which is a good reinforcement of any MTAC CM exam, right? So after this is done, I'll show you what we've done with this in terms of ensemble, like what we added. And for Christmas songs, because everybody likes that, so I just the book I have, I'm using this Ultimate Christmas. It has 100 tunes. I don't know all 100 of them, I'm not gonna lie, but I have my own favorites, and we just took one of the songs that I sent to April when she was born, I'll Be Home for Christmas. She knows it like from the very beginning, you know, she could hear, and I rearranged it into ensemble as well. So here it's just given as a melody and simple accompaniment, but we made a 4-part ensemble out of it. And added little introduction and added little conclusion as well. So just made it a little bit longer. So the idea is basically to take any book that contains something that student likes and rearrange it and make an ensemble out of it, if of course time allows. And I did not notate any of them. I don't have a printed version of what we play. It only exists as a YouTube video. We can still play it, and I know how it's supposed to sound, but I did not make a book out of it. Maybe at some point I will, you know, but I have to retire from Chico State to do that. So it's not going to happen in the next 5 years.
Not soon.
Not soon. No, not that soon. No. But, you know, it's always good to have, you know, some project in mind and see, like, you know, where are you going, and just have something that you would be interested in doing. Okay, so that's this. And the higher level obviously would be just to take a tune that you hear somewhere, you know, a song that somebody sings, or there are music books, and I'm sure you know about those kind of books. So like this one is bedtime songs, and we were using Hushabye Don't You Cry, right? So, and it's just a tune. So that's how the book sounds. And it gives you lyrics too. But April loved this song so much. So I decided that I should really make an ensemble out of it. So I created a 4-part ensemble. Not with that exact accompaniment, but pretty close, I think. I didn't have any tambourine to accompany, but other than that, it does sound like this piece. So basically, I get a book for her, and she likes certain songs, and there are some of them I never knew myself because I did not grow up in this country. So for me, it's really educational because I'm still learning this beginning part of the culture, before I'm 23. I'm kind of good at the other side, but it's a lot of things you miss when you come as a student because you don't know all this childhood development and school years, and it's a lot of information, and it's not done the way it was done to me. So it's a big journey for me, and I really enjoy it. But musically, I'm trying to use every opportunity to convert something that you can hear into something that we can play. So basically, to summarize what I just said, so in terms of resources, there are traditional resources, and as I said, Kaplan webpage is a great starting point if you want to see like what's available, and you can preview these things on Amazon, by the way, like before you buy. If you decide to buy, you can actually see how it looks like and decide for yourself if it's suitable or not. And then any piano book can really become, with solo pieces, can become an ensemble if teachers want to add a teacher part to that. And then just any piece of music that students like and wants to play but not available in print can be just created by a teacher as an ensemble. And I think with older students, they can be a part of that creation. You can assign them to improvise the melody. Like you can try the melody with them and ask them to provide accompaniment and bring it back to you and see like how they did it. And then you as a teacher can just add a couple of extra things to that, and that can be as an ensemble. So why is this improvisation approach good for certain students? In my opinion, because you don't have to read music. Again, it comes to just taking off pressure of reading the music. You just deal with the sound right away, and you play what you like because it sounds correct. And because you don't read music, you don't have to memorize. It's connected, it's like the other thing. It's because it's already, you either play it or you don't play it, but there is no this stage of memorizing what you read, right? So it kind of makes things a little bit simpler. And also it's good because if book is not available, but student really wants to play a piece, that's really a good way to do it. Okay, and the last one would be, you may have students, and I had those students too, that just don't feel comfortable at the beginning level to play alone, just to play by themselves. They just don't feel secure, they fall apart. And no matter how much you work with them and how many times you repeat things, especially under stress, they just cannot keep up with it. But with you, being on the side of that student, that is a different situation, and that really helps. Okay, so to summarize all of this, because my presentation is one of the things I used for them, I called it insights, right? So my personal insights in teaching ensemble pieces at elementary level for, I would say, consistently for the past 22 years, but it started before that. So I would say it's at least 27, 28, close to 30 years teaching ensembles here and there. But for the past 22 years, it's every day, basically, because of group piano classes that kind of became a part of my life. But I also do it with private students. So insight number one, I think that type of music should be introduced from the very beginning. You should not wait 13 years to start playing your ensemble piece. And it can be introduced before students know how to read music. Because as I said, combined resources, okay? Because many teachers say, well, yes, I want to do this, I want to teach this piece, but I have a book and no, my student cannot play from that book. Well, okay, that's not a problem. Create an ensemble in which student can still play something and you can provide the rest, but it will be ensemble piece which teaches rhythm, coordination, balance, articulation, musicality, and also fun. You know, so just all benefits coming there right away. And yes, maybe you cannot compete in the event when with that piece that you created, but again, you get so many benefits just getting a better playing of piano as a musician that I think, you know, it's really beneficial to do it this way. Another insight is resources. So don't just stick to the book, find resources that suit the needs of your student. And it can be combined resources or creating your own ensemble. In creating ensembles, and you will see it on the videos because our next part will be going into the videos. With hand positions, you know, usual hand positions in the book. So seconda is here and prima is here. So right side, I know you see it backwards, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So upper side, right, prima, and lower side, seconda. So what I was doing with April, I created a different arrangement. She was in the middle, okay, with the notes that have most sound and she's most familiar with anyway, and my hands were around her. So that's what I did, okay? So I could control the bass and sometimes add the sound if she needed, if she felt like she's really strong. But the very high notes, I could play them louder if needed, but it's way easier for me than for her. So this way we still got the range, right? Big range with accompaniment, but it was really positioned smarter, in my opinion, for a beginning student than the traditional one that we have. And many times, very beginning ensembles, you will see, I'm not even using both of my hands. I'm using either left hand or right hand, and I'm making her switch hands. So she's not playing with the same hand the entire piece. So with more, if you want to create more transparent texture, it can be two-part ensemble, like one of your hands and one of my hands can be this way, or it can be this way. Okay, so technically one person could do it, but that's not the point because she needed to count and it was a different experience when you have to do it with someone. So you will see those examples. So hand positions would be one thing to consider and maybe create your own. And as I mentioned before, creating a big sound in elementary level ensembles, okay, as well, if student, of course, tolerates it. But I think it just makes them more excited to play other pieces because they can hear how much sound piano can make. So with having said all of that, we're going to move to the next part, which is videos. So ideally, I want to share all of the videos with you, but if we will be running out of time, then you have the links and you can watch, you know, remaining videos on your own. So I will start screen sharing, and before I screen share, I will talk about each piece just a little bit. So the very first piece we recorded was Dog's Wolf, right? And how long you played piano before you recorded that?
1 month and a half.
Yes, 1.5 months. So right at the beginning, so she played 6 weeks and already had that little ensemble in her repertoire. How did you learn it? Did you read music by that time?
No, I learned it by ear.
Right, so I did not push for notation, so I just played and she picked up on how it sounded and she learned it basically from my hand. Did your hands play together or not? In that piece? Almost no. There was like one little moment when they did, but it's alternating hands. And what was the position for your hands?
Tetrachord position.
Tetrachord, right. And articulation type?
Non-legato.
Right. And what kind of dance was that?
Waltz.
Yes, so I introduced her to waltz. So we talked, in addition to playing the piece, we talked about waltz, what kind of dance is that? What are specific characteristics of that? So I'm trying to do several things on each project I teach, and I try to connect, you know, movement with playing as well. And it was just great choice because she learned not just the piece, but also what waltz is. What was the fun part for you?
That I created a song about my dogs.
Right, so
I
that
have
was
lots of toy dogs, and I created a song about, and you'll see many of them.
right. Well,
but I have more, of course, dogs.
I know, that's what I wanted to say. So the dogs you're gonna see in the video, it's 2 years ago. So try to imagine how many she has now. Okay, just little thing. But anyway, so I'm gonna share that video. It's in Russian, but it really doesn't matter because you're gonna hear singing and you're gonna hear playing. And I taught April to name notes in Russian using do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. So she knows both systems, of course, and she speaks several languages. But for that particular start, we use do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. So she sings that song first, then plays by herself, and then I play with her. So it's kind of a 3-stage video, but it's only 2.5 minutes long, so it's not gonna take forever. So I'm gonna start sharing, and hopefully sound will work for me. Yeah, let me check. Thank you. I think it was there. Just give me 1 second. April reminded me a very good thing. I want to check.
About this.
It's here.
Oh,
It's
it's
here.
here.
It's gonna work. It's gonna
Okay.
work. But
Just
thank you.
check.
Yeah, just to check. Okay.
Приветики! Сегодня 23 августа 2020 года, April 4 года и 4 месяца. Она играет на фортепиано около 7 недель. И сегодня мы будем записывать новое произведение, которое называется... Но сначала April нам споет про своих собак. Правильно.
Фуфи и Дзингл, и Хали, и Сила, и Пятнышко прямо идёт сама. Lavender, Elf, Pluto, Флиппи, Флоппи, Голди, Ниночка, вот все собаки мои.
Молодец! Я помогу тебе. И теперь ты нам сыграешь вальс собачек нотками. Нотками. Вот. Ручки сюда. Ручки. Так, сосредоточилась. Давай.
Фа, соль, соль, фа, соль, соль, ми, соль, соль, ми, соль, соль, ла, си, си, ла, си, си, до, 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 си, ля, фа, соль, соль, фа, соль, соль, ми, соль, соль, ми, соль, ла, си, си, ла, си, си.
Молодец! И теперь мы сделаем ансамбль с мамой. Давай приготовим лапки. Считаем до 3 и еще раз играем. 1, 2, 3.
Фа, соль, соль, фа, соль, соль, ми, соль, соль, ми, соль, соль, ла, си, си, ла, си, си, до, 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 си, ля, фа, соль, соль, фа, соль, соль, ми, соль, соль, ми, соль, соль, ла, си, си,
Thank you. Well, it's a whole movie, right? So videos we create many times, they just serve more than one purpose. But it's very cute to look back. You know, it's only 2 years, but it's
Of
very
course, I
interesting.
can play it better right now,
Well, we're not talking about. Okay, you heard that.
that's
Okay, okay. So let's return. I'm gonna return to the main page, and we're gonna talk about next video. Okay, so the next video was recorded in September of 2020. So April played piano for
2.5
2.5
months.
months, right? And this time we used Ukrainian lullaby as material. So I created Ensemble for her. It was one of the first ensembles I created for her using that tune. It's a very nice lullaby. It's about the dream coming to you and standing by your windows. And in the third verse of that piece, they talk about the cat purring and the baby sleeping. So April has this book in front of her with a big cat, and that's kind of the image of that purring cat in the third verse of the song. And I didn't know the song, by the way, so one of the reasons why I do it, it's a learning process for me. So even though I'm from Ukraine, I learn way more Ukrainian things since April was born than I learned in Ukraine. So it's very interesting, but that's really the true matter of events. And every time we hear a good material, it can be a song, can be popular song, can be folk song, can be anything, you know, a poetry or some kind of book or some kind of story. I studied together with her because I want her to understand that, you know, I'm from that place and it has culture and everything, and knows the language, which she does. But this was project just focused on this particular lullaby, which I never knew when I was in Ukraine. So it was a new project for me. So Ensemble is very transparent. We're using 2 hands at a time. And I talked about this just a second ago. So we start with accompaniment. First verse, we just accompanying that melody that we sing, we both sing. And then the second verse, you play melody on your right hand, right? And I accompany with my left. And then what happens in the third verse?
You accompany with
Yes,
your
I
right
accompany with my right hand and the melody goes to your
left hand.
left, right. Yes, so I wanted her to switch hands as she plays it. And articulation for this piece was legato. And what was the range? It was a 5-finger position, right? Right.
And I learned it by ear.
Yes, because there was no book available. What was the fun part?
That I could do that and you improvised it.
Right, it was a
And
creative
improvise,
project, but
right.
singing, right? So
Yeah.
singing and playing. So from the very beginning, you know, I kind of emphasized not just playing, you know, you always say to students, sing on the piano, but do they actually sing? So, right, so, and I was, you know, all these things I was told when I was little, they coming back to me in pieces. But they did not come to me before April was born. It's very interesting how things change when you become a mother. So maybe it's just me, but at the same time, you know, that's what was happening. And I remembered all these different things, but I could clearly see that just saying something doesn't work if you don't provide specific action for it. So I was teaching April ensembles, but I also was teaching her singing, you know, to the best possible level. And you will see how her singing improved over the years, you know, from this beginning videos to where we are right now. So very first year when she was 4 and maybe 5, she really needed me to support her because without me, she would just drop singing or would just sing very little and then stop. But by now she's completely independent. She can just do it by herself and she feels very strong about it and she really likes it. So that next video is Ukrainian lullaby video, is in Ukrainian, 3 verses, as I said, and the third one is about a cat and a baby.
Добрий день! Сьогодні 20 вересня 2020 року. І ми з April будемо записувати, грати і співати «Ой, ходить сон коло вікон». Ти готова? Ой, ходить сон коло вікон, а дрімота коло плота. Питається сон дрімоти, а де будем ночувати?
She asked at the end, was it good?
No, I don't know why I did it at that
It's okay.
time, but something really needed.
Yes, it was important to you. That's good. All right, I'm moving back to just making sure I have all the right windows open. Okay, so the next project was from this book I showed you earlier, bedtime songs, Hushabye, Don't You Cry. So I just heard the tune. I actually didn't know the song. So I learned that song too at that time. And I knew the tune. I didn't know the words. So that's what I mean. So because I teach this all the time, I hear of so many songs, but I don't know the words. So it was a great chance for me to actually learn the lyrics and understand that it's actually quite a deep song and can be even a little bit disturbing in the second verse. You know, if you look at the history of that song, and it's you know, it's talking about African Americans back in 19th century, and I didn't know it's the context. So everybody knows first verse for the reason, because in the second verse, it's actually heavy, quite heavy in terms of text and what is happening. So if you're curious, you may want to research that as well and just to know what it is about. But anyway, so we limited to the first verse, and I created another accompaniment, and this time April played with both hands, right?
Yes.
So you learned it, we didn't have a book, so you learned it by ear.
By ear.
Right, so you played piano for how long that time?
For 3.5 months.
Right. Did your hands play separately or together?
Together.
Right. What was the articulation type?
Legato.
Right. And the range?
Scale.
Yeah, so we extended fast 5-finger patterns to scales and hands play in unison. And that's the first ensemble in which we used this hand position. The first ensemble I created that we used all 4 hands, but this way, so I could place here in the middle and we didn't have to worry about the balance issue. What was the fun part for you?
We had horses in the video.
Right, you could see that there are always toys. So most of the times there are toys in the video. So in that video, April brought all her horses that she had at that time, and they are witnessing what is going on stage. And also, you probably noticed that we have matching outfits in most videos. So that was a fun part for me, because every time we thought about the video, I thought, well, we should get another dress. And that's a good reason to make that purchase. Okay, so I'm gonna screen share this one. Need to be sure that we're on the right page. Yes. Now we're here. Very good.
Hi, today is October 17th, 2020. We're gonna play Lullaby, Hushabye, Don't You Cry as ensemble. We're gonna use vibraphone and strings on the piano, and we're gonna do it with 4 hands. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And having a digital piano, by the way, that's a plus, because you can create all these different sounds. And I remember very clearly that I played piano, but the first time I heard flute, real flute, you know, I was 11 or 12. So it was about 5 years into my piano studies. I heard violin a little bit sooner, I probably was 10, because I started composing music when I was 9 and 10, and one of my first pieces was for the violin. So my teacher ran around and tried to find a violin player for me to play that piece. So I did have that experience, but because I'm a first musician in my family, there is nobody who plays music before me or, you know, around me at the same time. So my parents had no idea that I should be exposed to concerts, for instance. I didn't really go to any concerts for a long time. until I actually started attending special school for gifted children. That was a requirement. And that's where I studied together in my class with students who played all kinds of instruments. So we would have like 20 people, and 5 of them play piano, 3 play flute, 3 play violin, 3 play cello. So you have a class, you go into math together, or to language, or to physical education, but they actually all play instruments because part of the school is music. So it's really 2 schools combined in one. So you have general education and then special classes. But that happened when I was 11. So from that point on, I started actually understanding there is a double bass. So there is a bassoon. I never knew about it. But April obviously is exposed to all kinds of things from the beginning. And digital piano gives you right away, maybe you don't know how the instrument looks like, but you at least know the sound, okay? And of course, I do show you how things look like. So that's this project. The next one we took in about a month from this project. It was auditions in Sacramento. And we had to learn a piece from the book. Okay, so for this piece, she had to read the book, and we used Lancaster and Kovalchik, one of those books I showed you. Classical piano duets, we used book 1, and we chose Behrens' Allegra as a piece, and that's the one April learned. So how about your hands? Was it with hands together or separately?
Hands together.
Right, and what was the position for your hands?
5-finger position.
Right, how about articulation types?
All articulation types.
Meaning what?
Staccato, legato,
Non-legato, right. Good. And there were also accents, right, that you had to learn, right? What was the hardest part for you?
Balance.
Right.
Because again, I'm on top.
Yes,
With those
exactly.
small
So
notes.
we spent most of the time figuring out the balance, because no matter how soft I played, I was 2 octaves lower than the prima part, and and I had more notes, of course. And this is like the main issue, for little students when they play so high. It's very hard to make them sound strong enough for the accompaniment. But that was the book to choose pieces from, so I had to go with that. And I think we achieved pretty good balance overall, but it just wasn't easy. Okay, it really took time. What was the fun part? Was this one?
We had matching outfits.
Yes, we always try to have that. Okay, so Behrens' Allegra, I'm gonna share that video with you in a second.
That's all the
I need to close it first. Yes, you're right.
That's all the pretty little horses.
I know. Very good. So I'll have this one now. Try one more time. Good. And that's the ensemble.
April Smirnoff, 4 years old, California Association of Professional Music Teachers, piano auditions, Herman Behrens, Allegra.
Okay, we liked that book. So the next project we took was also from that same book, but it was a longer piece and it had a new time signature for April. What was it?
6/8.
Right, and it was Romance by Heinrich Enke, right? And the project was done in March 21. So by that time, how long did you play piano for?
For 8 months.
8 months, right? It was still in 5-finger position, but there were a lot of reds which you had to count. Right, and I think balance was still something to work on, but it was easier to achieve after already experience at least one project. What was the fun part for you?
We got a name for our ensembles.
Yeah, at that point, we realized we're probably going to do more than one ensemble in life, and we started thinking about the name for our duet, and we came up with
Unicat Piano Duo.
Right, so all other projects are labeled as Unicat Piano Duo. We like cats, and clearly the age of unicorns, so it was a combination, compromise, cats and unicorns together, Unicat Piano Duo. So we're gonna share that video with you in a second. No, not this. Here, very good. Now we need to find it with the program. Here we go.
Hi, March 10, 2021, Unicat Duo playing Romance by Heinrich Enke for piano for hands, April Smirnoff prima, Natalya Shkoda seconda.
Okay, I'm gonna skip, thank you, Marcia. I'm gonna skip several videos from that list, but you have a full list so you can look at things that I did not mention. I did not play today. So we're gonna skip one video and go into Amazing Cat video. And we used Amazing Grace tune for this piece, but our cat was turning 7 years old. And we decided to do a special family project dedicated to the cat. My husband played piano as a child for about 7 years. So he finished school, just normal music school. It wasn't school I finished, but we have different levels and systems. But you know, it's a pretty good education. I would say it probably equals more or less to BA in music, like what he knows. You know, in terms of, because it's education, you know, general education, it's also theory and ear training and some history information, and also it's 7 years of playing piano. So it's pretty intense, I would say. But he can read music. He doesn't practice anymore, and it's not his main occupation. But if we need him, he can play. So for that particular project, I wanted the whole family to be a part of it. So we took the tune from Amazing Grace, which April already knew. She learned it as a separate piece before. And I rearranged it into a 5-part ensemble. So we used 2 April's hands, 2 my hands in this position. And my husband, Sergey, added his right hand. So that's how we got a 5-part ensemble using all registers of the piano. So my part and my husband's part were improvised. April's part was taken from this book of easy children's songs that I showed you before. And from this book, and she just used exactly what she played when she played the solo version. So this is one of the examples of just being creative and also kind of uniting a family. If you have a special occasion, you can create something like that for anybody's birthday, I think, and just have a project that will stay with your family for a long time. I also can share it with friends. We sang the song. We changed the lyrics in the song because obviously it was about the cat, so you could not sing lyrics the way they were intended. But that's their project, and I'm going to share it with you in a second. And our cat is truly amazing, so it's a really good description of him there.
Hi, today is September 14, 2021. This is our cat, Shine. He turned 7 years old on September 1 of this year. We adopted Shine when he was almost 2, and this is how he looked like 5 years ago. Before us, he had 2 different owners and 2 different names. At first, he was called Winky, and then he was called Whiskers. But we all really think that his real name is Shine, and that's the name he's gonna keep until the rest of his days. For Shine's birthday, we created a song using Amazing Grace music. We created lyrics, and we arranged the song for piano ensemble for 5 hands. And we want you to enjoy our creation. Amazing cat with roaring sound. His name is Shiny Boy. His voice was lost, but now he's found. He brings our home great joy. Bow. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. You could see the hand position looks like an octopus a little bit, right? When you have 5 hands on the piano, but especially from that angle. But I think it really gives you a good sound because every register is involved, including the high notes, right? And also, every family member is involved. So we like projects like that. Next 2 ensembles were recorded in December of 21, so it was a year ago. And one was a Christmas tune, I'll Be Home for Christmas, and the other one was Narwhal in the Window. So we're going to show you Narwhal in the Window. Again, it was taken from this book of children's songs, the tune. I didn't know the song. I just bought the book for April, and she picked the ones she liked. There was one about unicorn and the other about narwhal, and she just was crazy about both of them. So I could hear them played a million times a day, literally for several months. So I said, you know what, now if you play them so many times here, you're going to play them on the piano. Okay, so at least you can put your energy into, some musical use.
Yeah, and not just sit the whole day.
Not just pushing a button,
I never saw a unicorn.
Exactly. Okay, good. So with the narwhal, let's talk about this. So you played piano for how long by the time?
Wow, close to 1 year and a half.
Right. And how did you learn this ensemble?
It was not reading music.
So by ear, right. So hand position, again, we use this hand position. And this time I actually added chords on both sides. You will hear that. So I tried to create a bigger sound because narwhal is a big thing. It's a big animal, right? So if you accompany with just a couple of notes and the melodies, that doesn't do it justice. So we tried just to create a bigger sound as well. And what was the fun part for you in this?
We had 2 narwhals.
Yeah, so use toys again in the video and again matching outfits, right? And singing as well. Okay, so let's see that video. I'm gonna do it now.
December 23, 2021, Unicat piano duo,
April Smirnoff,
Natalya, Shkoda, The Narwhal in the Window. How much is a narwhal in the window? The one with the ugly tail, with its feet so short and its tusks so long. I don't want that narwhal's for sale. And now April is gonna tell us 5 fun facts about narwhals.
They're not unicorns, but they're called unicorns of the sea. They live in cold Antarctic waters. They can hold their breath under the ice for a long time. They communicate with clicking and knocking sounds. The horn is a tooth or a tusk. It goes in a spiral right to the upper lip. All boys have them, but some girls have them too, and help them to hunt.
Excellent. And now April is going to introduce your narwhals.
That's the milk narwhal horn, and that's a blueberry from my berrycorn family.
And now we're going to sing the song. How much is that narwhal in the window? The one with the wiggly tail, with its feet so short and its tusks so long. I do hope that narwhal's for sale.
That's another example how to use toys, music, and movement while you're creating ensembles. Okay, now we're gonna move to a project which is not strictly a piano ensemble, but it does teach accompanying activity. And as I said from the very beginning, I was teaching April to sing, and I wanted her to feel very comfortable singing and accompanying herself when she does that. And she really wanted to learn All Is Found from Frozen 2 movie. I think every girl wants to sing it, but April actually wanted to sing it and play it. And it was one of the longer projects that took us, it didn't go straight. We started, stopped, and then started again and stopped again, and then we finished. So overall, from beginning to end, because it was just too hard, and you cannot do it by ear. So if any of your students wants to play All Is Found by ear, I don't think it's going to be working. Unless they want to spend 3 years doing that, then maybe. But a time frame for this project was on and off 8 months. And we did learn a lot of other things during that time, including certificate of merit exam, which April took in between, learning this piece. But just to finish the project and have it in a good shape, and also, being 5 years old. So that's how much time it took. And, one of the principles in my teaching of young children, and especially teaching April, it has to be enjoyable for me as well. So if I feel that things start being a little bit hard on my side, that I have to overextend myself and I keep repeating things, but it's just too hard for her to get at the moment, we stop. And we just move to a different project, and then we pick it up maybe a month later, and it's a new look at things, definitely. Because we continue practicing all the time and learning things, but I don't push, for the certain piece just because it's hard and it would be so nice to have it. And we have to do it like in 1 month of time. So time issue is very, very flexible on my side. And it has to really be pleasant. And I think when you have good memories, when you learn something and when you teach something, you will remember it way longer than if you learned a project and it was very hard and stressful, and then somehow just goes off your body as soon as possible, just because you don't want to remember stress maybe associated with that piece. It's a lot of psychology. So, for me, it's a lot of processes that I don't explain to April, but I do make a point that she needs to like what she's doing, and I need to like it as much as she likes it for collaboration to be successful and for results to be good quality. So for this piece, you were almost 6, right? So 5 and 11 months. It was March of 22, end of March of 22. What was hard for you in this piece? What was difficult?
It was one project and I really had to learn music. That was
Yeah, that was, you either learn notation or you don't play the piece. I mean, it really has to come to that, because there is no way you can coordinate three things, voice and two hands, with complex rhythms and complex harmonies for that level, of course, and not to read music. Just trying to remember it, it doesn't work, okay? Maybe for certain measures, but not for the entire piece. So we're gonna share it with you. And what was the fun part? After all, like after we finished this, what was the fun?
to be able to play instruments.
Yes, and we keep reviewing all the things April learned so far, so she is able to play any of these pieces basically at any time. Maybe with little practice, you know, she has to play like 2-3 times before she plays it, but she can do this. Okay, so let's check. Proper placement. Okay, very good. Now, and I do believe that accompanying skills are as important as ensemble skills, and especially to be able to do it with yourself, because you are multitasking at that time, and being able to hear yourself as you play. If you can do that, you're definitely going to be a sensitive accompanist when you're going to do it with other people.
Hi, today is March 29, 2022. April is 5 years and 11 months old, and today she's gonna play and sing for us one of her favorite songs. All is found from the Frozen 2 movie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, really nice.
Okay, so we have 2 more projects to share, and then we'll take any questions you may have. So the next one, what inspired the next project? We started learning a new language as a family. We decided that 3 is not enough, so we decided to add Spanish. And with that, I got a series of books for April with songs in Spanish. And some of them, it was really translation of famous American songs, English songs. And one of them, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, Estrella Donde Estás. So April learned it right away in Spanish as well. And we decided to, because she played this piece, of course, I created a little ensemble out of it. And the purpose was actually a 2-way purpose, at least. So we connected languages, playing and singing. So that's one thing. But also, I started introducing April to transposition skills. So because it was done in 2 languages, I transpose ensemble, and she played it in one key and sang in Spanish, and she played in another key and sang in English. So it was just, reinforcement of different musical skills as well. And I think for many ensemble pieces, that can be also done with a student. Like, if you do it in C, well, why don't you try it in D or in A, right? And that could be also like a little place for teachers to insert transposition, because there is seems like there is never a place to do it, but it could be a part of teaching easier ensembles in which, ensemble part is not that complicated and can be easily transposed by ear. So at that time, it was March 2022 as well, and you played piano for a year and 9 months, right? Yes. Transposition skills was new, right? What else we worked on? Balance, shaping phrases, right? And of course, you learned it by ear because there was no book, right? Okay, so let's hear that. So we had this project, which is still going on, Canciones en Español, de Señorita April, songs in Spanish by April, Miss April. And some of them are solos and some ensembles.
Canciones en Español de
Señorita April
y Señora Natalia. Canción número 1.
Estrellita, ¿dónde estás? Estrellita, ¿dónde estás? Quiero verte titillar. En el cielo volarás, cual diamante brillarás. Estrellita, ¿dónde estás? Quiero verte titillar.
And now we're gonna do it in English. Twinkle, twinkle,
Twinkle,
little star.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Thank you. And the last project we recorded just this week, actually, when I had my previous presentation, and Nauka was a part of it, I think, I had a similar, but not the same. I had different points. I had a presentation about ensembles as well for Arizona teachers in October. And I played duets by Laia Davidson in that presentation, which I did with my Chico State students several years ago. And April heard duets from that book, and she immediately decided that she wants to play those duets too. And we started, she picked one, and then it became 2, and then it became 3. So we had this Laia Davidson project, which we were able to accomplish during my break, because that's really the best time to accomplish all kind of learning things when I don't teach at Chico State. And these are 3 pieces. Why don't you tell us the names?
First one was In the Land of Friends, Chinese Dragon Festival, and Good Friend Johnny.
Right, so very bright titles and also very bright pieces. So by now, April plays piano for 2.5 years. Right, these are contrasting selections, fast, slow, kind of faster pieces. We try to make a contrast. What is interesting about them?
Its heads are very close.
Right, so Davidson is very resourceful, I would say, and he uses very limited resources to create quite a big sound. So the hands, for prima part, it's really the 13th part, and for me, it's about 2 octaves for seconda part, so it's less than 4 octaves together, but the sound, you will hear that he is able to create quite a good sound with just using middle range of the piano without using too much of the bass or upper register. He uses F sharp major in two last pieces. So we chose Chinese Dragon Festival for the reason that it doesn't have any white notes, not in seconda part, not in prima part. So that just really takes anxiety about black keys away completely because there is no white.
Black dragon.
I don't know if dragon is black, but it does use all black notes. And then the third piece, it's on black notes for the prima part and combination of keys for the seconda, but it's also a song. So we're playing and singing this, and we decided to do it in a specific way, so you will hear it on the video. Also, in these duets, it's a very specific melodic language. It's sort of contemporary, but tonal. And it's an interesting exposure, I think, for a student to play in that style because it's not your Mozart, not your typical Mozart, but it's very creative, and I think it really describes in the land of ants. You can really see the ants moving when you're going to hear it. I think you will see it because if you close your eyes, just listen to how it sounds. You can visualize this. So I really like this visual aspect of what he's doing. And of course, because hands are positioned now traditionally, right? So top part prima and bottom part seconda. So the question of balance becomes very important. And we did spend some time, especially with the first piece, to make sure that melody is really heard all the way. But with the first piece, it's ternary form. So A and A prime, the melody is in April's part, and in B section, it's really seconda. So I think you will hear that, but just to show that it's basically switching. It's very contrapunctual as well, the texture. Okay, let's hear it. Let's share it. Let's hear it.
Hi, today is January 10, 2023. It's day 161 at Shine Academy of Languages, Arts and Sciences, and we are recording piano duets by Elias Davidson.
In the land of ants. April Smirnoff prima.
Natalya Shkoda, seconda.
Chinese Dragon Festival.
And now April is gonna show us the Chinese Girl Dragon.
Here's my front paws and my back paws, my tail, my face. Good friend Johnny. Rosie, Josie, come and choose the game. What's your name? Boy and Dave. Rosie, come and choose the game. What's your name? Boy and Dave.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So that concludes selection. There was a video too that I skipped, but you do have an email, so feel free to watch at your own time and see what kind of insights you get from that. And we are ready to take any questions, if there are any questions, or maybe something that you want to share on the same topic and will be beneficial for everybody. Anything that comes to mind? Marcy, you are muted.
Need to unmute. I would like to know if we could get a list of those resources, those books and authors and publishers.
Absolutely.
So that if we wanted to find some of those, we could do that.
Absolutely.
That would be so helpful.
I will email you a list and feel free to forward to anyone who wants to know.
I will do that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Barbara, you are muted.
Unmute.
You are muted. You're still muted.
We can't hear you, Barbara.
It's on the bottom. It says mute or unmute. It's a microphone icon.
I had it.
There you go.
I had it on speaker and I couldn't find myself. And I was, no, I had the very same question as Marcy. I just was curious, especially the classical piano duets and duet classics. But hey, if you write what those are, that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
In particular, we're working on having a branch duet recital.
Yes, in February, right.
I think it's good that people know of good resources. So this was very, very good. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, it was exactly my question. I think for any beginning teacher, my question time ago, but even with experience, I think finding good beginning resource is key. Because obviously, you know, Mozart is always there, Grieg is always there, Fauré is always there. But how many years students need to study before they get to those pieces? You definitely cannot do them during the first year of piano studies. I mean, no matter how good your student is, maybe with adults who just look really, really amazing, but definitely not with 4, 5, 6-year-olds. And to find a good resource, that's really the key to keep the interest and also to develop, because many things you need to have in piano playing, like good legato, singing tone, musicality, good reaction to phrases. That's all done through ensembles way more than through technical exercises or scales. You still need those for different reasons, but if you only practice scales and play Czerny, which we do as well, to the point, then you become very, very mechanical. And it's very, very hard to really make a student to play a phrase musically after spending years playing mechanic. And that's the main challenge I experience with students that come to me and they have some experience. And in some way, I actually prefer to have a beginner because I know I will develop that student properly, you know, to the best of my understanding. And it will be in my hands to incorporate all elements at the same time. But many times you get a transfer student, and on one hand, it's good, they read music and they played, you know, some Chopin. But then when you start listening how they play that Chopin, it just creates a different impression. And it's really a lot of work to make students play musically. And I believe it should be done from the very, very beginning. But of course, it's not always the case.
I have another question, which you kind of answered. So proportionately, how much time does April spend in individual solo playing?
Versus,
yeah, so there's obviously one is not going to pick up everything she did today.
Absolutely. I'm just here to show resources and show what can be done, but you don't have to learn 17 ensembles in 2 years with your students. So that's not the point of this presentation. Basically, I'm just showing what can be done, and it can be tailored to the student needs. So if your student learns, let's say, for beginning student, I know what the standard should be, but again, it's so individual. So in my experience, first year, it can be anywhere between 6-8 pieces to 20 because they're so short. Okay, so more advanced students can really learn, you know, if each piece is like 10 seconds, right? So it really can be 20 in the first year, but at least 6. Okay, so if we're looking at like 6 to 8, then I would say 1 or 2 of them, it would be nice to have ensembles, proportion-wise. Because obviously if students do programs, right, if they need to prepare for SCM, right, there are 2 solo pieces that they need there, right? If they have some other, you know, things in mind, ensembles, I still feel that ensembles are a little bit underappreciated in terms of competitive programs. There are not so many opportunities for ensemble playing, especially at the beginning level. It's a little bit better once you're in college, I think, because I always get all those competitions for college students in ensemble setting, but not for beginners. And probably for obvious reasons, because when you say I want to study piano, you mean solo piano, right? I mean, most of the people you ask, like, I want to study piano. Nobody says, I want to study piano ensemble. Have you ever had anybody comment to you and saying, I want to study piano ensemble? Probably not, right? But I think it depends on like where you are. So in terms of April, you know, I can give you the numbers for April, but as I said, we are in a different set of circumstances, and I think she's very lucky to have that set of circumstances, but she really, really enjoys what she's doing, and that's the key for me, because as I said, for me, when I teach her, I need to be happy. You know, I do have a place when I teach whoever they send me, and I just have to teach them because I teach there. But this is my choice. You know, it's my freelance choice, and I'm also homeschooled in April. So it's because I really enjoy just seeing her progress and getting things done certain ways and exposing her to all kinds of things. So about half, she has 35 pieces on her repertoire right now, 35, over 2.5 years of studies. 6 of them are etudes. And then remaining pieces are solo pieces, but there are 17 ensembles. So I would say half of what she learned is ensemble. And half of the ensembles we learned are improvised. So they're not from the book. So that's our numbers. And things will change because obviously pieces become larger now. So in the first year, she had between, I think, around 15 pieces in the first year of studies, but it's less in the second year, and clearly it's less now because most recently we recorded her solo pieces, and each of them are 2 minutes long. So to learn a piece that lasts 2 minutes, you need several months to study. So I expect her to learn maybe 5-7 pieces a year, like starting now, because she is already close to intermediate level, in my opinion, with her level of playing.
It's fun to hear. Thank you.
Numbers are just numbers. You know, I like numbers. I really like numbers, and I have all of this. But I do think that person comes first, and it's really not about numbers, but about feeling accomplished and feeling happy at the end. So whatever the number is.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I had a Christmas recital, and every student did a piece from an arrangement from Nutcracker. It was just
wonderful.
And kind of in desperation, I had 2 sisters do what you were suggesting. I had a too difficult piece, and I had one girl play the figure out the left hand part, and the other girl played the right hand and figured out new figuring, and they did a wonderful job. It was desperation. I didn't know that was good pedagogy. It was just had to find something for them. So you are right. That works very nice to not limit oneself to printed
scores, right? That's one of the insights that I had, because again, looking for, just thinking that there is that perfect book that exists and everybody just goes and buys that book and uses that. No, they maybe know perfect books, but you have some resources, and then obviously with experience you can use your creativity to create whatever you want. So in my case, you see, I showed books that I would make more complicated accompaniments. In your case, you simplified, but that's really the same thing. So you took more complex solo piece and divided between 2 students so they can play that piece together. That works too.
Thank you.
We'll have to play on our recital, April. on the 20.
Thank you both very much. We are careful with COVID, and that's one of the reasons why we're homeschooling. So I think it's enough for me to go and teach in person at Chico State. That just brings enough stress to all of us, and we just want to wait and see like how things turn out and when they're going to become really more safe, because we take that issue very, very seriously. And for now, I think online performances are the best option for us, but thank you very much. We're looking forward when things are better, because I absolutely want you to perform in live recitals. It's not the same experience as record and post. It's very valuable, and she wants to do it, in terms of like emotions, and she wants to do it, and I think she's ready to do it. But there are other issues, and I think every family has the right to decide for themselves how they look at things. So that's our take. But we wish you to have a very, very good recital. And if you have anything online, we'll be happy to contribute. Okay, any more questions or final comments?
Dr. Shkoda, I just want to make comments. I really appreciate your presentation, and I probably have the least experience here in terms of teaching piano. So I really appreciate you sharing your experience and your technique in teaching. I really enjoy how April is progressing in her piano skills.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Another thing I thought watching the videos, I like having those dolls and animals when you play pieces. I think it's really cute, and I think it's very important learning any piece, just having a theme associated with the song. It really helps little kids, little child picture what they're playing, and I think it helps with their musicality. I mean, it might be hard for me to bring in like stuffed animals to my lessons, but I can talk about
Your
stories.
students should do that. So when we just one thing here. So when we started, when she was 4, of course, she could not understand like all of the settings around the video. But pretty soon, I would say in about half a year after we started doing this, she would come to me with ideas and say that for that video we should use that animal, and for that video we should use that animal. So basically, if you just tell your students that they can use it, and if they're like 5 years old at least, I think they will have no problems having all kind of creatures in your office when you teach.
I think it's really fun.
Mama, but
No, we're not making videos. Okay, let's hear what Nauka wanted to finish saying, because we interrupted her.
No, I know. I was just
Marcy, you're muted. You're muted.
Right.
I am?
You were and you were not.
Okay, so I just wanted to thank you again. And if you, when you have the recording available, if you will send that to me as well, I will send that out to those who were not able to make it today, because there were a few that expressed an interest, but they could not, watch the presentation at the time it was given. So I would like to have that as well. And I have to run too. I've got some other commitments today, but thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate it. And thank you, April, for your participation. Okay.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.